morning. It's your boy Pat Lana from Card and Soul. We are back with another video. I want to do things a little differently. I normally haven't been able to do something like this, where we just talk, and I want to build a community. I want to build something from all this that I'm trying to create on YouTube, and basically just talk with you guys, kind of show face, get a feeling of where we are, a sense of the sports card market, and kind of just talk about things. You've got so many things in sports cards right now that you can be a part of, right? Like the market, I believe, is starting to bloom. It's getting bigger. There are people that never reached out to me, that were in my circle, that are now reaching out to me and trying to get involved in the sports cards. So I just kind of want to address some things that I've been in the sports card market since 2012. Again, I re-entered the market back then. That was a huge year. If you were here with me, you would know, because that was like a dual year in basketball cards. Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis was huge during that time. Kawhi Leonard was in that set. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. You had Damian Lillard out of there. And the next year was Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? I got crazy stories about a lot of those things from back in the day. I could have bought a case of Giannis Antetokounmpo's Prism for like $350. I could have bought a case of Prism. But I slept on it. And the only reason why I wanted to buy it was because Steph Curry autos were in there. And, my boy, he's a big Warriors fan, so I was like, dude, let's go half on that. I always bring that up to him whenever I see him, and how we really missed on that. But nowadays, those things, to be able to buy a case of cards for $350 is unheard of. So I think we are at our peak. We are the bubble now. The bubble is huge. We've got Fanatics entering the market. They just bought Topps. And, they are marketing their marketability that they can do with sports cards. Look at what they did with Fanatics Fest, which I went to. I've got a video that I'm working on right now just showing you guys that whole thing. And I think this year's Fanatics Fest is going to be even bigger. It's going to be crazy. It was extremely awesome. And I'm not even trying to go long-winded on that, but Fanatics is able to create buzz around the market because they have so much money, and they're going to be able to market it. Look at the LeBron James, Bronny James 101 commercial. That was sick, right? Like, whatever you believe about LeBron James, whatever you believe about Bronny, whether or not he's good or whatnot, it doesn't matter. The fact that they were able to create that, put it on live television, right? National televised, and talk about Bowman. When have you ever seen Bowman get any type of TV time during the middle of sports, like a major sports event? So, that's what's so cool about Fanatics. They are so shoulder to shoulder, buddy with all the leagues. They can get that time, and they can just be like, hey, since we're selling this, y'all hook us up, man. Put an ad out there. So it's going to get it in front of mass viewers. It's going to get it in front of a ton of people. So what we're going to see is just more people entering the market. All right. And essentially for markets, that's like the main thing that you want. You want people to come in the market because they're bringing money into the market, right? Now, just like every market, people are trying to get money from everybody else. Okay. And I'm just going to be straight up forward with you right now. People are trying to get money off of you, right? So when you have stock market, people buying and selling, somebody's willing to enter the market where you're selling, okay? Because they're high on it in certain areas. And then when you're like, well, I got my money, I'm going to go ahead and get out now, somebody's willing to enter it. Now, whether it goes up or down, that's what the market decides. And that's the things that we can't predict, right? Nobody's got that crystal ball that can tell you, oh, this person's going to be great and this person isn't. But just like markets, everything revolves like that, right? Everything is cyclical, So with sports cards, I just want to address that the same thing is happening with sports cards, right? Like you have players that were extremely sought after, and I'll tell you which ones they were, right? So For instance, last year, CJ Stroud during the offseason was cooking. Okay? His stuff was extremely hard to get. You had to pay a premium to get into it. His base cards were trading really high. His silvers were selling for $1,000 a piece. Okay? And I'm just curious to know right now, right? Like, what is CJ Stroud PSA 10 Silver Prism selling for right now? The more recent one that's about to sell, we have at PSA. That's going to sell for $355.51 if it sells for that right now. So we're talking half off. We're talking half off. All right. So let's go over here and look at so 366, 399. Somebody probably got in a best offer here. You took about a 75% or a little bit less than that, maybe a 65% haircut on CJ Stroud cards if you were buying them at the top. Now, the cool thing about this is if you guys have the seller, if you guys are sellers on the market, you can look. So if you look at the range just from, I believe this is for a year, for 1 year. Okay, so February of last year to January 31 now. Okay, his peak on a silver prism, now I don't know if this was snuck in, but this was probably his top. Okay, $2,050, and that was probably somebody who was first to market. So we can go over here to average sold price. We can figure out, right? Okay, so at $2,050, the CJ Stroud 2023 Panini Silver Prism 339 rookie PSA Gem Mint 10 on January 19th, 2024 off season. Okay, because he was probably either he won, you know, like January 19th, 2024, the wild card, and now we're gonna go to the divisional playoff. Okay, here he lost. So January 20th that happened. January 19, right, the day before CJ Stroud lost here, right, Saturday, January 20th, the day before, somebody got cooked for $2,050 right here, January 19th, 2024. All right, they paid $2,050 for a CJ Stroud. Guaranteed there was some drama behind that purchase because the next day when he lost, right, what happened was this guy probably, if the card even got paid for, this guy shipped it instantly. He sent it to PSA. Now, this is what's going on with eBay. All right. With eBay now, sellers are protected if it goes to authenticity guarantee. Okay, they pulled the whole StockX thing. It goes to authenticity guarantee. Authenticity guarantee takes a look at it, says, okay, your card is authentic. We're going to ship it to the buyer. Once that transaction happens, once it hits eBay and goes over to the buyer, that's it. It's done. You can't take back what you've done at that point. It's done. So there's some pros and cons to that, but for the most part, it does protect the seller. Back in the day, sports cards was having an issue where people were basically buying stuff, and since it's a what have you done for me lately type league, people were returning their cards or asking for returns and getting into these big fiascos about it and not being faithful to what they were doing. So, you know, if you overextended yourself back in the day, you were able to get your money back because eBay would work in favor of the buyer. Because with eBay, right, they need buyers. There's no other way they make money without buyers. So the buyers will always have the leverage in any situation, and that's just how it is. Sellers come and go, but buyers, eBay needs buyers so that they can make money. I mean, that's just the way that it is. But that's what happened here, right? So the 2023 divisional playoff against the Texans versus the Ravens, the Cinderella story was over. CJ Stroud turned into a pumpkin, and boom, that's what we have. Now, let's look at where we are now with CJ Stroud, okay? So we're gonna go back to this card right here, right? So if we look at ending soonest, there's one that's going to be ending tonight on the actual PSA site. So PSA actually sells on eBay now. So if you get this PSA Gem Mint 10, you're getting it at a 65% discount, or maybe even a little bit more than that. All right, depending upon where you look at the top is. I don't think that the average top is 2,050. I think that the average top was probably, so just looking at the chart here, right, this was our guy that got smoked for 2050. Here's one that sold for 1378. So I mean, roughly throughout the off season, right, like first to market always wins. Here's the next one, here's the next one, blah 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 blah. But anyways, for the most part, I want to say CJ Stroud's, you know, ceiling was about $1,000 for his silver prism. 935, 946. I'm seeing a lot in these ranges, right? So let's just go ahead and say, but since the season started, right? Since the season started, this was the beginning of the season, right? So that would have been a good time to sell. But because of his performance this year, CJ Stroud really just dropped off the center of the earth. Okay, he really didn't have a good season. What did I tell you? It's a what have you done for me lately type league. But right, Jayden Daniels, what have you done for me lately type league. So let's go ahead and look at what his stuff for. His silver prism right now base is trading for $400. That's about normal for your hot player. CJ Stroud in the similar boat. His stuff was selling for about the same range last year. So Jayden Daniels is the guy, buy, grade, and sell if you're trying to do that whole I'm making money type thing in the sports card market, okay? Now, just be cognizant, all right? You're working against the clock, okay? You have a certain amount of window to make sure that you can get in and get out of these cards, okay? As soon as the cards come back in, you need to be auctioning them things off and getting them out of there, all right? Getting them out. Unless you are a super collector of Jayden Daniels, you have this long-term vision with him, something you know about him that I don't and that the rest of the people don't know. But if you have this premonition about Jayden Daniels and you're collecting, well then you're collecting at your own cost instead of paying $1,000 and having to work, you know, against the market. So if you're grading and holding, that's better because you'd be in at 40. Let's say the total grade and shipping cost after it's all said and done costs you about $25, right? And we're just assuming right now that we get this card for $400. But for $400, the insertion is a lot easier. So instead of having to pay $1,000+ up here for Jayden Daniels Silver Prism, and let's just see how much it would cost us right now to get a Jayden Daniels Silver Prism. It probably would cost us a lot of money. And sold for PSA 10 gem, $18.75. So listen, there's money right now to be made, but you have to be quick. And the thing is, you're gonna have to figure out how to work PSA. All right, so let's go ahead, hop over here, psacard.com. All right, submission. Okay guys, so let's just look at estimated turnaround times by service level. You guys can get cards back quicker if you pay the higher fees, okay? But a lot of times people right now want to try to finesse and don't want to pay the higher prices and get, like, They want to keep their costs low. But guess what? If you keep the costs low and you go value bulk, it's going to take 45 business days. That's 45 business days of opportunity cost loss. Like, you're going to miss out on so much money if you don't get these in and get them back out. So the focus here would be to try to express would be a 5-day turnaround. All right. Now, you could get smoked if you get a 9 or something below, right? Plus, here's another thing, right? If you don't have the cards right now, it's gonna take you like 10 days to get this thing, all right? So you're already working against the clock, okay? The longer it takes for you to get a PSA 10 and get it up, the less it's going to go for here, all right? So you're going to miss out. It's called opportunity cost loss. So at some point, the lackluster of Jayden Daniels is going to go away, and it will fall like a knife, just like CJ Stroud. So you have to get in and get out. Now, if you're a long-term collector and you want to long-term collect Jayden Daniels sports cards, you have to wait, or you have to buy and grade yourself. That's the only thing that I could tell you right now. Okay, if they're selling for $479.99 and they are selling for $1875, well, if you're a Jayden Daniels collector, I would buy up as much as I could, okay, and I would grade as much as I could. And if I have room to sell and make my money back on the cards that I want to long-term hold for Jayden Daniels, because I think he's going to be the next big thing, well, then that's what you do. All right, you'll sell what you don't want, and then you can go in and you can therefore hold on to the things that you like. Okay, so how can you make the hobby work for you and what your style of collecting is, and then also what it is that if there's opportunity on the table right now, which it seems to be Jayden Daniels, then I would hop all over it. I would take advantage of this opportunity. Okay. But yeah, that sports cards is so fun. I don't know if I've been able to amp you up and get you hyped up about it, but that's exactly, I love watching content that gets you hyped up and want to get into something and do something and be a part of something. Like, essentially what you're doing is you're buying and selling something that you love, right? Passionate about. Sports cards, there's this passion about sports cards with me because there's not many other ways to invest in players or athletes, and I get passionate when I see really good players. Okay, I just have a knack or an eye for talent. Like, I can watch somebody and be like, man, that guy's nice, right? And then it's like, I wonder what his sports cards are trading for. And then I'll buy them, and then I'll grade them, and you miss out on windows and stuff like that. But at the same time, you can tell when somebody is talented. So for instance, CJ Stroud, I knew he was good prior to him entering the league. I don't know what happened to him this year. I heard he was messing around with Hollywood stars and stuff, right? Amber Rose, I saw him walking out of a game with Amber Rose. I think it was preseason or a practice or something like that. Amber Rose was there. They were walking to his Lamborghini Urus, or one of those nice SUVs, or a Porsche or something. And I saw on Twitter somebody was like, this was the end of CJ Stroud when he started hanging out with the Hollywood stars. So I don't know what happened to him this year, but I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan, and I watched him single-handedly almost give us a loss, the one where we went on to beat TCU. CJ Stroud is a national champion in my eyes. He was so good. Ohio State could have won that year, the national championship, but we lucked out on their field goal kicker shanking at the very end of the game. I was like, this game is over. Now, kudos to Stetson Bennett and the boys. I think George Pickens was on that team. But kudos to those boys for continuing to playing to the end of the clock. All right? Continue to play kudos to those boys because they ended up winning and then they got to the national championship and then they just blew out TCU. I mean, TCU shouldn't even been there. But, I had this eye for talent. I knew CJ Stroud was going to be good. And once he got into the league, it was like he had a few first games. Then boy just started to cook. And I was like, I knew this was going to happen. I knew he was good. I just couldn't believe that Bryce Young went above him. And I think there's a friend of mine at work. He's a Panthers fan. He always talks about that too. He's like, he just can't believe. He's like, but Bryce Young is starting to show a little bit of improvement as well. So, there's always the speculation side. Would CJ Stroud be a good buy right now? I think CJ Stroud is an absolute amazing buy right now. I think he's at a complete discount compared to where his levels can be. And, the only problem or the only concern that I have was that last year, for some reason, grading sports cards was just out of the atmosphere. You had Victor Wembanyama, CJ Stroud, and Caitlin Clark, all coming up. Caleb Williams had a huge buzz around him, right? Jayden Daniels even had a huge buzz, but Jayden Daniels didn't have any cards to grade. Now there's a ton of cards for Jayden Daniels to grade, and I guarantee you PSA's got this backlog right now of trying to grade this guy's stuff because people see value in the market and they're going to be attacking this right now. The first ones to get some market on these things y'all gonna be it. Y'all are gonna make some money. And but you have to hit the 10. You've got to hit the 10. Let's go look at what a PSA 9 goes for. So a PSA 9, I mean, you really don't have to hit the 10. I mean, you can make your money back. I'm telling you. Look at somebody took an offer, so you pay you can make your money back or just probably take a little bit of a haircut off eBay fees and shipping, so that they're gonna hit you on that. But and you can sell it really fast now because PSA offers that service where all you do is you ship it to the PSA vault and they'll list it for you, run it for a 7-day auction, and it's on PSA site where everybody's looking. So this is a great opportunity, I think, if you guys can hit a Gem Mint 10 to get some profits on being early with Jayden Daniels. But I guarantee you, before the night is over, before this week is over, see, this is the thing, your opportunity cost, or you're losing out on it right now, because if you don't have the cards, if you don't have them in the mail heading to PSA, people are beating you out right now. People are beating you to the punch. And I watched it last year. Insurmountably, just over time, right? I was grading Victor Wembanyama, and I was getting 180 for base cards. I was grading base cards. You get 180 for base, and then 180, 150, 140, 130, 120. And now I think they trade for like $68. So let's see what Victor Wembanyama. $70, okay? So he's stuck at the $70 range, and I think that's probably floor. I don't think that he's gonna go down unless he gets hurt or something like that. You can buy and sell his stuff for $70 all day long. But like I said, it started at 180 when I got into it. It was a lot higher than that, but I missed out, and then it was like 180, and then it just kind of slowly went down, and now we're at $70. Plus, there's so many of these cards graded out there.